Imagine waking up one day, staring at your empty bank account after another sleepless night, realizing all those years of grinding through thankless jobs, sacrificing weekends with your family, and ignoring your health. The S now failing have you ain't gotten you anywhere meaningful while the guy who barely shows up, cuts corners, and plays the system sails ahead with promotions and perks. What if the whole hard work pays off story you've been fed since childhood is the biggest scam ever pulled to keep you exactly where you are, obedient, exhausted and broke, running on a hamster wheel that never stops? If this hits too close to home, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now, because by the end of this video, you'll see the hidden game that's been rigged against you from the start, and it might just be the spark that sets you free from the chains you've been wearing without even knowing. Hang on tight. I've filled this with jaw-dropping twists that append everything you thought you knew, real life. Struggles that'll make you nod in recognition and feel seen, and timeless truths from Machiavelli that will keep you glued to the screen, rethinking every job you've ever hated, every boss who's taken advantage, every moment you've wondered why your efforts never seem to add up. You bust your butt day in and day out. You grind every single hour like your life depends on it. You arrive early, before the sun's even up. You stick around late, long after everyone's gone home. You follow all the rules to the letter without cutting any corners. And still, you're struggling to make ends meet, while somebody else who's less disciplined in their habits, less skilled in their tasks, less honest in their dealings seems to climb up the ladder effortlessly, coast along without a care, and succeed without breaking a sweat or putting in half the effort you do. You tell yourself to hang in there through the tough times, be patient, and wait for your turn. That maybe, just maybe, one day it'll all pay off, and you'll get the recognition you deserve. But deep inside, buried under the exhaustion, there's a voice whispering that something's off, that the math doesn't add up. And it's not only you feeling this nagging doubt. The people working the hardest, pouring their sweat and soul into their jobs, stay stuck in place, spinning their wheels, while the system cheers their effort with empty words but rewards something totally different, something sneaky and unfair. Why? Why do the most dedicated workers, the backbone of every company, retire with nothing but regrets and a meager pension? Why do the key folks, the ones we can't do without, the essential workers who keep everything running live, from one paycheck to the next, barely scraping by, while those who aren't even in the trenches, who sit in comfy offices, call all the shots and rake in the big bucks? Is it just bad luck, a random twist of fate, a messed up economy that's out of control, crooked people pulling strings behind the scenes? Or is it built that way on purpose, designed from the ground up to keep certain folks down? What if I told you being poor isn't a fluke or an accident? That poor folks aren't just unlucky or making bad choices. They're needed in that position for the system to function. What if the whole setup was made to hold them down, to ensure they stay there? Not with guns pointed at them, not with locks on their doors, but with ideas planted in their minds, with a set of beliefs drilled into heads from kid days onward. Beliefs that make following orders sound great and admirable, that make suffering through hard times seem romantic and character building, that give pats on the back for giving in and not rocking the boat, but never real control or upward mobility. This isn't some bug in capitalism, or a hitch in how we vote or elect leaders. It's older than that, deeper than politics, more planned out and intentional. And 500 years back, somebody spotted it clearly, called it out without sugarcoating, put it on paper for the world to see. His name was Niccolo Machiavelli, and he warned, the folks in charge do unhold power with force. By itself they do unneed to when tricks work better. They rule with clever manipulations, by handing people just enough hope to stay in line and not rebel, but never enough strength or resources to turn threatening or independent. Hope turns into the chain that binds without anyone noticing. Right and wrong turn into the gag that silences questions. And being poor turns into something that lasts, a permanent state. But here's the bit nobody wants you to know or think about. It's not on you personally. You were never lazy or lacking in effort. You were never dumb or making foolish decisions. You were taught to buy into a game never meant for you to come out on top, a rigged casino where the house always wins. Machiavelli got this better than anyone. He saw how power really works behind the scenes. Not with fairness or merit, but with setup and strategy. Not with truth and transparency, but with stories and narratives that control minds. And what scared the big shots, what they tried to hide and suppress, was this simple fact. Once you spot the game for what it is, once you get that the rules weren't made with you in mind, or for your benefit, you stop acting like a piece they move around on their board. This video isn't easy listening. It's not nice or comforting. It's not here to pump you up with false positivity. It's here to uncover the layers, to lay out the blueprint of control that's been hidden in plain sight, to point out the lie that kept whole lines of people loyal to a fault, wiped out financially, and broke in spirit. And to give you the one thing the setup can't stand or defend against: clear sight and understanding. Because clear sight is where real freedom starts, where change becomes possible. If being poor was just about being lazy or not trying hard enough, then why do the hardest workers in the world, the ones who get up before dawn and collapse at night, stay poor and struggling? Why does the guy up at 4 a.m. fixing wires in the freezing cold, the lady doing back-to-back shifts at the ER, saving lives, the ER saving lives, the plant worker on feet for 10 hours straight, without a break, the delivery guy chowing down behind the wheel, dodging traffic? Why do they scrape by, check to check, month to month, barely making rent? If busting your tail equals winning big, why are the ones giving up the most their time, their health, their dreams always left with the least, the scraps? The truth hurts like a punch, but it's necessary. You weren't tricked in a loud, obvious way that anyone could spot. Nobody yelled at you to fall in line or threatened you outright. No signs flashed warnings, no alarms blared, no red flags waved in your face. The trick was said soft and gentle, told kind and reassuring, repeated a ton until it became second nature. You heard it in class from teachers, at worship from leaders, from kin at the dinner table. If you work hard and stay honest, life gives back generously. If you just keep pushing through the pain, the setup will see you and reward you. But what if the setup was never looking for you, never designed to notice your efforts? What if the idea that effort brings reward was never meant for you, the average worker? Machiavelli figured this out ages ago, centuries before modern economies. He saw a different framework under society, a secret build hidden beneath the surface. One where the top dogs need the crowd to buy that idea fully, but not to gain from it in any real way. Because if poor people stopped thinking their work had moral weight and value, if they saw their giving up as money flowing straight into somebody else's pocket, they might quit the part the setup counts on them to play. And that's risky for the powerful, because here's the harsh, uncomfortable fact. Work isn't holy or sacred in itself. It's a tool for control. And poor people, they're not worthless or disposable. They're key to the whole operation. Their tiredness runs the money machine that generates wealth for others. Their going along keeps things steady and predictable. Their hope, fed by empty words and false promises, is the oil that lets the gears turn smoothly, without friction. Machiavelli didn't make suffering sound pretty or heroic. He got power in its raw form. And to him, the scariest thought for rulers isn't uprising with violence. It's waking up among the masses. Because when you wake up to your loyalty being taken for granted, when you see your good effort used as gas for someone else's engine, not prized as your path to liberty, you quit asking what's my mistake, or where did I go wrong, and start asking, who gains from me staying worn out, in line, and low paid? Who profits from my endless hustle? You were raised to think you're good, traits your truthfulness, that never cheats, modesty that doesn't boast, steadiness that shows up rain or shine would shift your lot in life, lift you up. But Machiavelli would say those things don't scare the strong or threaten their position. They help them maintain control. And the thought that work by itself brings respect and rewards, that's not right and wrong in a moral sense. That's handling people, manipulating minds. The hard truth is this: your work is a thing to use, a commodity. And those with power, they don't want things to use to climb up and join them. They want them steady at the bottom, easy to take from, easy to swap out when worn. Which means your being poor isn't from not trying or lacking drive. It's from what you believe, the stories you've internalized. Belief in a setup that pays for work, when really it pays for pull and connections. You've been taught to give service without question. They've been schooled to grow big and dominate. And as long as you keep pushing harder, waiting for notice and fairness, they'll keep rising higher. Using the build you were told to honor as sacred, not because you're lazy, but because they know the more you buy into the honor of your hurt and sacrifice, the less you'll ask why you're still hurting year after year. By now, the trick is breaking apart in your mind. You've worked tirelessly. You've given up stuff like time with loved ones. You've stuck to the rules rigidly, and still you're trapped in the same spot. So you start to wonder, was the rules ever true or fair? Or was it penned by somebody who never planned to live by it themselves? This is where Machiavelli steps in, not as a bad guy in history books, not as a downer who hates hope, but as one of the rare thinkers who dared to voice the silent bit that everyone feels but few admit. In The Prince and in Notes he never meant for eyes to see, Machiavelli made one thing dead clear: the strong don't rule with right and wrong as guides. They rule with what people think and believe. Because right and wrong, when used as a tool cleverly, doesn't free the crowd from chains. It calms them, keeps them docile. He wrote that the perfect citizen isn't mad with rage, isn't hungry for change, isn't fighting back against injustice, but tired from toil and full of hope for tomorrow. Just full of hope enough to stay in line and not disrupt, but never strong enough to climb or challenge. It's a smart plan, for real, a genius strategy. If you hold people poor but give them just enough chance, a lottery ticket, a rags to riches story, a work hard and succeed mantra, they won't fight the system. They'll dream bigger, they'll push harder on their own, whine less about their lot, and quietly point fingers at themselves when the dream flops and fails. Machiavelli got this better than most in his time or ours. He said, "Poor people aren't risky when they're empty and desperate. They get risky when they've been tricked and manipulated. That's why the trick must feel right and just, fair and earned by merit. You're not busted or broken. You're working toward it diligently. You're not taken advantage of unfairly. You're on the road to success. You're not throwaway or forgotten. You're biding time patiently." But Machiavelli's words smashed that tale to pieces. He pulled back the drape on the stage. He showed that control setups don't need hurt or violence if they can sell a tale that people buy. And the strongest tale is this: you're near the breakthrough. You're almost at it. So close. Just one more year of sacrifice. One more step up the ladder. One more give up of your time. They don't have to lock your body in prison if they can jail your faith and hope. Machiavelli's smarts wasn't that he praised mean or cruel tactics. It's that he uncovered the tools behind following and obedience. He got that the secret to leading wasn't punishment or fear alone. It was trick and deception. A trick of fairness that feels real. A trick of moving ahead that's always promised. A trick of liberty that's just an illusion. Because the second you really think you're free to succeed, even when you're not in reality, you won't battle or revolt. You'll follow with belief and conviction. That's the smarts of it all. That's the fear it instills in those who see through it. You don't just join the game willingly. You guard it fiercely. You pass it to your kids as wisdom. You call out those who doubt it as lazy. All while the prizes stay just beyond grab, forever shifting further, forever out of reach for most. The twist that no one sees coming is that this isn't about individual failure. It's about collective control. You've been conditioned to blame yourself for not making it, but Machiavelli knew the game was never fair. The challenge, breaking free, means facing the loneliness of seeing what others don't. But once you do, the grind loses its power over you. Hang on, the real freedom starts when you stop playing by their rules and start defining your own. What if the path out isn't harder work, but smarter rebellion? Keep watching. The answers are coming.